Eco Certifications Hospitality, the hospitality channel.
The podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Eco Certifications Hospitality Podcast. So, we are still testing this format a little bit with Sebastien, trying to see if you enjoy these more open and honest conversations around sustainability in hospitality. For people discovering the podcast for the first time, my name is Alexandrie. I used to work as environmental officer in hotels, and today I'm working around sustainability in tourism industry, and I'm running Eco Certifications Hospitality Network, where we connect independent hospitality professionals and consultants working around sustainability. And with me today again is Sebastien.
Hello, everyone.
Sebastien is a former chief engineer in hospitality, and today he works mainly on energy management and sustainability projects, mostly across Asia. We met years ago during one of his consultancy missions in a hotel where I was working. Most of these discussions are not really prepared podcasts. They are conversations we already had many times before.
Yes, exactly. Usually with some coffee, and sometimes these discussions can be very long.
I will bring you some coffee. No worry. And while waiting for the coffee to come, let's carry on our discussion. Actually, after the first episode, we realized that we spent almost 1 hour talking about the difficulties of the environmental officer role before even properly defining what the job actually is and how this role can be extremely rewarding.
Yes, true. We went straight into the pain points without speaking about how this position could change things and how it can develop people.
Which maybe already says a lot about the reality of the role. Indeed, in the first episode, we talked about pressure, lack of resources, certifications, reporting overload, internal resistance, and isolation. But I wanted us to rebalance a bit and start from the basics. Sebastien, what actually is an environmental officer or sustainability manager in hospitality?
That's a good question. Environmental officer in a hotel is globally responsible for monitoring and improving the property's environmental performance on a daily basis. Usually, the job includes the extraction of interesting data from energy and water consumption, also following up on waste management practices, as well preparing sustainability reports, coordinating eco certifications, sometimes organizing staff trainings, and generally working with different departments to implement more sustainable operational practices. These roles involve a regular communication with all the teams within the hotel. It can be engineering team, housekeeping, kitchen, procurement, also finance, human resources, and of course, top management. The goal of this position, the target, is to identify sustainability inefficiencies and also to follow up on sustainability objectives. And this person need to ensure that the environmental initiatives are realistically applied within hotel operations. It depends on which brand you are working in. The scope of work could be a bit different, but in general, the sustainability manager is involved in ESG reporting. It can also work on food waste reduction. It can also work on supplier assessments or guest awareness initiatives. And sometimes it happens that this person is also involved in energy efficiency projects. Basically, environmental officer is a back office job, but this person needs to have a strong knowledge of daily operation. So an environmental officer is basically someone who translates sustainability into daily operations.
Yes, and that's actually a very important point. It's far to be only a reporting job or a certification job. In reality, it touches almost everything.
Definitely. The environmental officer is really in the middle of all operational flows.
And I think that's where it becomes difficult and makes this job exciting at the same time. Because you are not only doing sustainability, you are trying to change how a hotel actually operates.
Yes, in a way, you are a kind of professional green influencer because, as we said in the previous podcast, you don't always have power of decision, but you need to make things happen anyway.
Which is not easy at all.
Not at all. And this is why I always say that a good environmental officer is not someone who launch many projects. It's most likely someone who creates a momentum with small wins first. And these small wins are very critical because sustainability in hotels is very practical. You need visible results early to bring the team with you. Things like simple water reduction, food waste tracking, or awareness action with housekeeping, for example, can completely change the dynamic and start to change the global mindset of your team.
The famous quick wins, which are actions that could be implemented shortly and easily and which delivers visible results.
It's kind of quick wins, exactly. Water reduction in one department or in one area of the resort, or a simple food waste tracking, or an awareness action with housekeeping. Once people start to see the first results, everything becomes much more easier for the environmental officer.
The quick wins topic connects with something we mentioned in the first episode, KPI, also named performance indicators, because often there is no clear framework.
Yes, but for me, this is probably one of the most interesting part of the job. In big corporate, in general, you're gonna receive your performance indicator related to the main topics such as energy reduction or food waste reduction. But for all the concern considered as secondary, you have no performance indicator given by your corporate, by your hotel. So the environmental officer needs to define what to measure, what success actually means, and how to track the progress in a meaningful way. So definitely, to me, create housemate KPIs is one of the most interesting part of the job.
Which makes the job almost creative in a way. You can imagine to create performance indicators for almost everything related to sustainability. And how would you prioritize the tasks and the concerns to tackle?
Prioritization is critical in this job. I would say that an environmental officer needs to choose his or her battles. Environmental officer needs to figure out what is really impactful, what is realistic, and what aligns with management priorities. But also, the sustainability manager has the freedom to put more effort on what he or she is good at or on topic that resonates with him or her. I like to say that we are the first generations to deal with sustainability, to really deal with sustainability. And we cannot change everything at a glance. So the idea is to choose some concern, implement improvements in operations, assess the results, and then once new habits are created, move on other initiatives. Otherwise, you will end up trying to do everything at once. You will get tired very easy and very fast, and you will end up only filling Excel files.
Yes, totally agree. Sustainability is a very wide subject, and the best way to eat an elephant is one bit at a time, especially if along the way you need to make some stops to train yourself or to learn more about a specific subject. And that's something we don't talk about enough, self training. Because most of the time, if you are missing some knowledge, you can find answers around you. The only thing is that you need to look for it by yourself.
That's very true. And that's another very interesting aspect of this role if you are a curious person, because you can learn about many things. Like you can learn about engineering, about procurement chain, about gardening, like how the fruit and the veggies you are using in the kitchen, how they are grown. You can learn about work efficiency, kitchen operation, chemical usage, how to reduce and reuse your waste, and so on, even psychology. Like, for example, what your guest would be happy to see, or how to gently bring new ideas and new concepts to your colleagues. And you can learn about all these topics by talking, exchanging, for example, with your engineers, with the housekeeping team, with the kitchen team, with your suppliers, or with the consultant who are coming to your hotel. And if you cannot get all the answers from them, then you will need to self-educate yourself by finding your own resources. So reading a book, find some videos on YouTube, for example, read some article, or listening Alexandrie podcast. And also, you're going to learn from your experience. You're going to learn from the implementation that you're going to propose, and you will get feedback from that. And over time, you're going to build your own understanding of the system.
I remember that very well. Sometimes I was learning engineering concepts at night just to understand how we can calculate the carbon emissions. Like what is an emission factor, why each country has its own emission factor, etc. I was watching and watching again your engineering video training, and also look for books and online resources to get to know more.
I hope I gave you enough understanding to make better analysis and to speak about chillers with your technical team for hours and hours.
Definitely, and that actually changed credibility internally. My chief engineer at that time then looked at me differently, and he could even give me a deeper understanding of his concerns and about what he was doing on a daily basis.
Completely. If you at least understand the basics, people will look at you differently and they will take you more seriously. And what is even more important is that you can connect sustainability to operation in a realistic way.
Which brings us to something important: communication. Because a lot of the job is also storytelling internally.
Yes and no, because with the other managers, you need to explain sustainability in a language that operation understand. And you also need to avoid greenwashing as much as you can because your colleagues are not stupid. So you need to speak in terms of cost, in terms of efficiency, guest experience, impact on the staff. And for that, again, you need to analyze the result and create your own KPIs adapted to the reality.
Yes, you are right. An environmental officer needs to remain pragmatic to bring the whole manager team with him or her. I remember a project about food waste I was involved in. Pragmatism brought, how can I say, a big snowball effect when we started to deal with food waste reduction with the chef. We worked together to create our own realistic indicators. Then, as you mentioned before, we could see the first small effects and kept digging the topic. After a while, keep reducing the garbage, the accounting manager came to us as she noticed a food cost reduction.
The perfect snowball. And with food waste, the results are really obvious.
Yes, ultimately, financial results are obvious and always appreciated when we speak about reduction.
Indeed, money is better in your pocket than anywhere else. I particularly like food waste management. because the reduction process is actually very similar with the energy optimization. You start your monitoring, you spot where the wastage is the most important, then you carry on your investigation and you figure out which type of ingredient, which type of food is disposed, and when is it made, like in the evening, in the afternoon, or during high occupancy period or low occupancy period, or when the chef is having his day off or something like this. And you keep rolling the ball. You propose new process for the F&B team. You implement it. You see if it works, and you continue and you keep going. That's really passionating. And it doesn't only improve your financial bottom line.
What else?
The financial savings you are doing by cutting food waste can be reinvested into better quality product or organic products or really local product, and that definitely improve the guest experience. Especially we are in Asia, food plays a central role in hospitality, and it strongly influences the guest satisfaction. People, they can spend the best vacation ever in your resort. If they don't like what they eat, their holidays are spoiled.
That's very true. Food is often the strongest memory of a stay, and such massive improvement could be initiated by the environmental officer.
Exactly. Sustainability often increases quality. And the key person for this quality improvement is, one more time, the environmental officer.
One more time, brave sustainability manager. We spoke about KPIs, cost savings, quality enhancement, but sustainability is also about people.
Absolutely. Sustainability is also about people, the company employees, but also the local people who doesn't work in the company. So develop them, bring everybody up, but without forgetting to pay respect to each person's choice, each person's opinion, and the goal they have in their life. But I think you are probably the best person to speak about that.
Me?
What if you share to everybody what you told me in off about your vision and your experience about changing people's life? Now that's my turn to interview you.
I'm shy, Sebastian. But if you insist, we often reduce sustainability to energy, waste, water, plastic. But in reality, when you work seriously on sustainability in hotels, you also work on improving people's lives. For example, in many hotel certifications, there are criteria related to employee well being. We look at things like working conditions, fair salaries, paid leave, staff welfare, training opportunities. Of course, we are not replacing labor authorities or government institutions, but sustainability programs can still push hotels to pay more attention to these subjects and improve conditions internally. And honestly, this is something I always found very rewarding in this job. What we spoke in off with Sebastian was about an initiative we launched in my former company with local communities near a tourism area. It was very simple. We organized basic English classes for local people. Not only children actually, also young adults and sometimes older people working as daily worker or non-qualified jobs. At the beginning, it looked like a very small project, just helping people learn basic communication for hospitality and tourism environments. Hello, how are you? How can I help you? But after some months, we started seeing real results, and some people managed to find jobs in hotels, restaurants, or tourism activities because they finally had enough English to communicate with guests. And in many Asian countries, This really changes opportunities for people. Some of them moved from very unstable informal jobs to positions with better salaries, social protection, healthcare coverage for their families, and much more stable conditions overall. And honestly, when you see this kind of impact, you realize sustainability is not only about environmental performance indicators, it is also about creating better opportunities and improving quality of life for people connected to the industry.
Yes, in reality, good sustainability creates value everywhere for the hotel, for the employees, for the guests, for the local communities, and ultimately for the environment. And this is why the role of environmental officer is so interesting. It's not just about environmental reporting. It's about being a key player in improving your hotel operation, your hotel results, and last but not least, changing people's life.
And I think this is actually a good place to pause for today because this episode really helped clarify what the role actually is. Not just the difficulties, but also the reality of impact, the complexity, and how this job can elevate yourself by many aspects.
I think now the job description is much more balanced.
Thank you, Sebastian, for the discussion, and thank you, everyone, for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like, comment, and share it. It really helps us grow this project. To stay tuned with us, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to press the bell. And you can also visit the Eco Certifications Hospitality website to explore more content, resources, and trainings. The link is in the description. See you in the next episode.
Eco Certifications Hospitality, the Hospitality Channel.
The podcast.